Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today we are going to talk and walk down the negative side of life. You know that just can't be the case. But if you would, before I get going, take this opportunity to like this video, give it the old thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. But let's talk about the 10 things that you should not do. The 10 things that I have done wrong at one time or another, and may even still be doing them wrong. Let's talk about that right after this. All right, so Coach Vic and I, as you know, have traveled quite a bit on this old Spider. We've done a lot of day trips, and when I say day trips, I'm talking day trips in excess of 400 miles to where we just go somewhere and spend a couple of days, maybe at the motorcycle museum. You can see those videos if you'll check out the channel. Old homes, old churches. We love to travel, love to do things. And then we've got our bigger adventures. The ones where we've gone from the Atlantic to the Pacific and back, the ones where we've gone to Key West to Maine and back, and we've learned a lot along the way, and not always through just reaffirming the things that we've done right. More often than not, you learn from messing up. And sometimes when you're like me, you don't necessarily learn, you just continue to mess up because that's the way you're wired. And you have to force yourself out of these other zones in order to make it better. And I'm learning that, and I'll share that with you on a couple of the topics today. But here's the very first one: packing too much. Now, you would think that that would be kind of obvious, not to pack too much. But one of the things that we've learned is that, like, for example, we'll just say shoes. A lot of people will pack multiple pairs of shoes. I'm going to tell you what I carry. These I wear on my feet, and I carry a pair of Birkenstocks. Yeah, the old hippie sandal closed-toed Birkenstocks. I think they're called the Bostons. That's it. I don't care if it's 20 degrees. I don't care if it's 120 degrees. I carry these, and I carry my Birkenstocks. I did on the California trip, I carried a pair of running shoes. I ended up using them because we stayed a week in California, but I learned really quickly that I ain't gonna be doing a lot of running. And my Birkenstocks, they walk quite nicely. So if I'm just gonna go out for a walk and it's warm or even just moderately cool, the Birkenstocks will certainly meet my needs. And these, if it's cold, will certainly meet my needs, and they walk well enough. Clothes, I bring 2 pair of pants. I bring a pair of riding jeans and a pair of short pants. If it's cold, I probably should have gone in front of this guy. If it's cold, I wear my riding jeans. If it's warm, I wear my shorts, and sometimes even when it's cold, I wear my shorts because I'm from Florida, and that's what Florida people do. Shirts and underwear, obviously, you're going to need to carry more of that unless you plan on washing them every night or being a stinking animal. I don't plan on doing either one of those, so I pack for that as well. Food and that sort of stuff, you're going to have to figure out on your own, but suffice it to say that less is more. Mistake number 2. Now this one I haven't done a lot of, but I have done it on some days. Certainly when we're traveling here in Florida, and that's not having a real outline or a real plan of what your intentions are for that day. It's funny to me that when I'm traveling over, 400 to 500 miles, that I would just wing it. And in Florida, I'm prone to do that. And I will say this also, when I do that, it never works out well for myself or for Coach Vic. It seems that the less I plan, the more we get stuck in traffic, the more we get stuck in construction, the more it's just a problem. I like to each day plan my trip out into sections where my gas stops are and have an outline of my day, understanding that weather, accidents, detours, all of those things can change. However, having an outline and a plan of what you're going to do each day is always a great place to start. And I can truthfully say that every time I have not had an outline, it hasn't gone very well. All right, that brings us to number 3. Yeah, number 3, moving right along, is trying to go too far. Now, I am definitely guilty of this one. I am the 600 mile a day man. You're the $6 million man. I'm the 600 mile man. I would go 600 miles a day. I don't care how much suffering. I don't care how hot. I don't care how cold. I don't even care if I enjoy it. I want to go far, and I've got to change that, because I do believe that I can enjoy this adventure a lot more if I will back those miles off. I've had a lot of good friends, a lot of people that are way more experienced in the touring world tell me that exact thing. You're just pushing too far. And they're right. They're right. Coach Vic, I drive her crazy, and I've got to back off on that. There are days you're not going to have a choice. You're going to have to push on, whether it be due to a lodging constraint. There's that making plans, right? You need to have your lodging acquired for that day, know where you can and cannot get lodging, understanding all of that, and you take every bit of that into consideration with the mileage that you're willing to put in or not put in as the case may be. But going too far, you can certainly ruin a trip, and you can beat your travel partner up. If you're traveling alone, you know, you have to figure out what's too far for you. But what's too far for me may be way too far for you, or it could vice versa. So think about that. Just don't try to kill yourself with big miles. And if you get tired, you can always stop. Just change your plan for tomorrow. Number 4, not knowing the climate in the area that you're going. Now, I'm not going to say that we've gone anywhere and not known the climate. I will say this, though, when we got there, the climate still surprised us. Even though we expected rain, even though we expected heat and dry, even though we expected cold, it has always surprised us, because we are from Florida. This is where we're from. This is what we know. We more or less expect 40 degrees to feel like 40 degrees. I'm going to tell you that the 40 degrees in Maine in May felt colder than 40 degrees in February here. Maybe that's because our bodies had already started, acclimating to the heat here, and then we got up there. But know what the weather's going to do to the best of your ability, understanding that there again, it can change. Make sure you have the proper gear. We are in the process right now. We did have good rain gear. Our rain gear worked properly on our trip. We did have jackets. However, nice battery powered or plug and play warming vests and things like that, cooling vests that you can wet, those things, plan for the extreme, because what you're going to find out is that the normal weather changes are not a problem. It's these extremes, and that's what you have to plan for. The normal stuff is just easy. So expect radical things with your weather and plan for them. And not doing that, not having the cooling vest, not having the heated gear, you're going to pay the price for it. You just are. Number 5. Now, number 5 is one that we learned on this last trip, our Key West to Maine. If you haven't watched that trip, we have playlists. When you look at the tab across the top, we'll have a playlist. It'll say Key West to Maine. Be sure and check that out. But we learned when we got up into Pennsylvania and it was supposed to rain and be freezing bitter cold the next day, that we had to take a 0 day. A 0 day is just one that you just take off. You don't ride at all. I think that every trip you need to plan for some 0 days, and don't be frustrated when you have to take them. There's no shame in having a 0 day. There's just no shame in it. Plan for those day outings. We stopped at a place called Walnut Canyon on the way back from California, and it was during the pandemic chapter 1 last year, and everything was locked down, everything was closed up. We didn't get to go to the Grand Canyon as a result of it. Everything was closed. And what we found is that Walnut Canyon was open if you were just willing to just go and basically be a self-guided tour. The bathrooms were closed, a lot of things were closed, but we still got to experience it. It was beautiful. And those pictures from that trip, from that particular moment in that trip, man, we look at that day, those moments with great, great fondness. So make sure you plan for a 0 day for when you're tired. Plan for those outings. And if that means you need to shorten the length of your trip, then don't hesitate to do that. My goals have been met. My goals were to cross this country east to west, north to south. I have no other distance goals. Would I like to go to Alaska? Yes. Would I like to go to Sturgis? Obviously. Do I want to ride the Badlands? Yes. See Mount Rushmore, just all of these things. I do, and I will. But those trips are going to be planned to where it's going to be a greater ease of travel. So plan those vacation days, those 0 days, those outings. Number 6. Now, number 6 is one I've been criticized on. I'm just going to tell you. And I don't mean any offense by this. Please don't take it that way. A mistake can be traveling with a group. Now, this is not one that I make a lot. I have made this. I have made this mistake. Please don't think that I haven't, because I have. Traveling with a group with a different pace than you can ruin your trip. Be very careful who you travel with. You may love that person. They may be your favorite person on the entire planet. But if they like to ride at 9 a.m. and you like to ride at 6 a.m., if they like to ride until 9 p.m. and you like to be off the road at 6 p.m., if they like to eat big lunch meals and you like to just eat a cheese stick and have a Coca-Cola, all of those things make a difference. It won't matter on day 1 or day 2. But by the time you get to day 4 or day 5, you're a couple of thousand miles into your trip, you're tired, you're grumpy, and all of a sudden you find yourself, talking with the person on the motorcycle you're on badly about your friends, and all of a sudden the trip it's lackluster. And your friend is saying the same thing and they feel bad. Normally it's guilt from the people who can't go as far and irritation with the people that want to go far. That combination is a dangerous combination and a great way to destroy friendships and ruin a trip. So be careful. Always let people know your expectation, and if you can't meet that expectation, don't feel bad about saying, I can't meet that expectation. Don't feel bad about saying, I want to go further. It's okay. Ride your ride. But traveling with the wrong folks can ruin a trip. Now, if you're traveling with a big group and you just have no expectation other than camaraderie, that's completely different. That's completely different. But when you're doing the big tours, you got to understand those accumulation of miles and time, they add up. The old body gets tired, the old machine gets beat down, and it's easier to be negative and arbitrary. So be careful about who you travel with and for how long, because it can destroy friendships, and it ain't worth that. Now, this next one is one that I am certainly guilty of, because my trips have been goal-oriented. As you guys know, I am a goal-oriented type of person. That is going to change, because those 2 big trips were my deal, we'll say, with Coach Vic, that once I get these things done, then my view and how I ride and all of that stuff will be different. But focusing on the destination and not the journey, every moment of your tour should be a joy. And I'm not going to say that every moment of my tour isn't a joy. It is. I do love riding. You know that. You've seen me ride thousands of miles, and you know how passionate I am about every mile, every blade of grass, every person I meet. But one thing that I am guilty of is focusing on that carrot that's way out there and not focusing enough on the joy in the moment. Coach Vic would tell you that I do focus enough on the moment, but she would also tell you that I focus too much on the destination. I am philosophical in nature and study a lot of things, and so I really do love the moment of everything that's happening. But don't lose sight of that. And it's okay to self-analyze and even be critical of yourself and go, you know what, I'm not enjoying it enough. Even if I'm enjoying it a lot, even if you're enjoying it more than other people, if you know that you can still find a greater joy in experiencing the moment, then you know historically you have been doing it wrong, and you need to find the greatest joy possible within that moment. So enjoy the journey. The journey is the destination, every moment, every mile. So there you have that. All right, number 8. Number 8 is one you normally learn through experience, but I do believe that it's one that you can learn from others as well. My dad used to tell me, you know, a smart guy learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from others' mistakes. You can go ahead, let this guy go. So learn from my mistakes. Learn from the errors that I have made. But here it is. Compartmentalizing your gear. Have a place for everything, and everything goes in its place. If it takes you 30 seconds longer 50 times to put it where it goes, you're going to save time in the long run, because if not, you're just going to find yourself looking for things and being frustrated. The discipline of taking the time to put things where they go, and as you do that, it's just going to become second nature. Our rain gear, our wet gear goes in this bag right here, left rear saddlebag. It's our rain gear. That's where it goes. That's where it goes every time. Our liners to our jackets, additional jacket material, beanies, fleeces, things that we need due to climate, goes right there every single time. That's where it goes. I think that was Coach Cruz. Anyway, but every single time you put those things where they go, and you will be very happy. All of my things, my personal belongings, my personal effects, if you will, go in the front. Coach Vic's go right here in the right saddlebag. The back top bag is camera gear, sunscreen, things that we pull in and out all day long. That goes there. The trailer we have organized in a fashion. Now, you won't have to be as radical and extreme with the trailer as we are. You will probably find a much more effective and convenient way of packing. Check it out, a trike in front of me. A convenient way of packing than we do. We have to have, it is an absolute of vital importance that Coach Vic's wheelchair be available to us first. That's inconvenient. That means if I want food, if I want water, if I want to pull anything out that's up towards the front of the trailer, I have to pull that wheelchair out of the way first. You're not going to be contending with that. So just understand, pack efficiently, compartmentalize, know where everything goes, a place for everything, everything in its place. It is a beautiful day, y'all. I'm just going to tell you. The weather is just superlative. We're getting into that time of year where it's nice and cool in the mornings. This morning it got down to 68. That's our first time in the 60s. I couldn't tell you when. It is just absolutely spectacular. All right, one more time, if you would, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. I'm going to leave that one right there. Number 9. Not stopping to stretch or chill. Now, you may say, well, I have to stop for gas, Coach. You do have to stop for gas, but that's not the same thing. Can you combine that with your gas stops? Absolutely, and that's what we do. Our gas stops aren't hop off the Spider, fill it up with gas, turn around and get on the Spider and haul butt down the road again. That's not how we operate. The way we do it, I get Coach Vic off the Spider. She goes in the store, she freshens up a bit. She'll get her something to drink. We'll get a Coca-Cola, some peanuts, whatever, you know, we get the junk food that we get when we travel. All that stuff. Man, it looks like that Harley's got a weird camber on that left back tire. Needs to check the toe in on that rear tire. But we stop, and when we stop, I mean, there are times we're at that gas station for an hour. We talk to people, we stretch, we eat, we chill. We do that, as you know, 3 times a day minimal. That's minimal. That means that if we're there, we'll say an average of 40 minutes. That's 2 hours a day. That's 2 hours a day that we're not driving. So be sure to take the time to stretch and relax and enjoy those moments as well. And if we didn't do that, it would make for a very hard day. For Coach Vic, it would be a downright impossible day and an impossible trip. She would develop pressure sores. She would have major cramping problems. And with her paralysis, all of the pain that she can't feel creates things that occur within her non-paralyzed part of her body. It creates major complications. Those things are important, so make sure you do stop and chill and enjoy each other off the motorcycle. And number 10, this is one that Coach Vic is really good about not forgetting this. Me, not so much. Don't forget to buy mementos along the way. In fact, it's even great if along the way to buy something and send it home. Send it home to a family member, a memento for them. Do something more than just a text message with a picture on your cell phone. Send them something. It takes a little time, but it's worth it. You know, Coach Vic bought this little Maine coffee mug. It has a picture of a moose on it. It's not a particularly beautiful mug. You know, I find myself looking for that mug to have a cup of coffee out of it every now and then. And then when she sees me drinking out of it, she goes, "You're drinking out of my mug." She drinks out of that mug every single day and talks about that Maine trip. Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Those small things that trigger our mind to remind us how wonderful the experience was. It means a lot. Buy those little things, those like I said, those little mementos, things that will remind you daily of what you experienced. And then as we grow more weak and more fragile, and we go, man, is it worth it? That might remind you it is worth it. That might be the only reminder that you get that pushes you out the door, that forces you to continue to live a life with some adventure in it. So there you have it, 10 mistakes that we have made, and I'm sure that you have a few of your own. If you would like to share some of your mistakes, you can feel free to add that down in the comments section. You can also agree with the mistakes that we made, or you may disagree and go, man, Coach, that ain't a mistake at all. You shouldn't organize and compartmentalize. You ought to just throw all your stuff in there. Well, I want you to do me a favor. I want you this week, go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Now you go seize the day, and we will see you on the road real soon.